We are down in Orlando, Florida at the International Builders Show 2022. The show just opened up. You can see the flood of people headed into the show. We're going to share a bunch of our favorite booths. We're catching up with a bunch of our vendors, and there's a ton of networking and friends that we've made throughout the years that we're excited to see. So let's hit the show. We're going to head over to Schluter first, and we're going to talk all things new products, and we're actually going to share a tip that I was not aware of on how to fix the radiant heat cable if you ever were to damage it. So something that we're doing a lot, I think this is what this sample's for, but a lot of times you're seeing a lot of the heat in the bathroom, in the space that is outside the shower, but we've been running all of our heat cable into our shower. You can't leave it like that. You can't just run the ditch, because this is technically a waterproof layer, as long as you're taping the seams and things like that.
Correct.
This cannot be in your waterproof, in your underneath tile in the shower.
Right, and it's not from the manufacturer. That's just
electrical.
It's an electrical rule that you have to put a waterproofing on it.
Right.
Very popular to run it up the front face of a bench. You can see we have some different sizes of benches in here, and then across the top of the bench, back down and cover the whole floor. And if you do that, that's why we're showing this other piece of our Curdy membrane that would go on here, and you'd put that over the top of it, then you would tile directly on that. Of course, this Curdy membrane will bond into the other Curdy that you put on the walls, on any kind of vertical with our Curdy band, which is what we're going to be demoing here at the show, is how that goes together.
Essentially get it into this section.
There you go. Yeah. And we would put a piece even to comply with that. Put a strip up and over on that.
That's a great, at least visual, to show that from the room, getting it into the shower, you can go right up and over a foam curb, or if it's curbless, it's pretty straightforward to get it into that space.
And two things we're also showing here, Nick, if you can see outside in what would be, let's call it the dry area, because we do have a curb here. Say someone comes in here and for some reason damages the cable. They cut the cable while cleaning the excess thin set out of the grout line, for instance. Or the plumber shows up and drills some holes to mount a toilet that has more than 2 bolts for mounting, or a door stop that has to be put in, and they drill a hole and they happen to hit the cable. We can repair that.
You can?
Yes, we can, if it's outside the wet area. And also, if the cold lead splice goes, if the end splice has a problem, we can repair those now. So that's kind of a nice luxury to have.
Because I've never heard that. And every time we've done a door stop in a tile floor, we run that heat way up, we get our infrared camera, which is good practice anyway.
That's good
practice.
But
the rare case, and I want to believe that we've had an issue where we ended up not replacing it. Because we're like, we damaged it, it's a one and done, you can't repair it. Walk me through, how do you go about repairing a heat cable?
Well, we do have equipment that we have scattered all across the U.S. and Canada, where our actual field reps can go out with this equipment and, like you said, turn the floor on. And we have different types of equipment, some that send charge through the cable where we can find the break, others, like you said, kind of more like an infrared type of camera called a fluorer, where we can actually see the image of the cable under the tile, and we can pinpoint the break. We can remove that tile and get right into that spot and do a spot repair on that cable. You can only do so many per cable length, but yes, we are able to repair those cables on site and get them fixed. We don't do it, but we do have the equipment to find it, and then we can turn it over to a qualified electrician, and they can come in. We supply them with the splice setup. They can go in and do the repair, turn it on immediately after the repair, make certain everything's working. Then it's time, okay, tile person can come back in and they can finish it up. So it is repairable, which is nice.
I mean, I feel like the everything we've talked about today is great, but that right there is, I feel like, information that a lot of people don't have. Because I've never heard that. I've always thought that if it's damaged, it's dead. We can never go back. And after that, I'm going to hit a panel discussion talking about being a modern builder and what we're facing with the times that we're in and how we're communicating our value to our clients. I had a build that we were literally driving the excavator to the job site, and the husband had not said a word to this day. Wife signed the contract, $1.8 million build, new house, and we were driving to the job site, and he called, he goes, hey, I haven't really taken a look at the contract until today. We're actually gonna cancel. And I was like, excuse me? Because I know that probably sucks. I'm like, I'm gonna call you right back. Call my excavator. I'm like, hey, divert, I'll get another job for you. calling back, and he's like, yeah, I would never spend that much money on this house. I'm like, where were you during, like, we sat across the table from each other multiple times. It wasn't like I handed a paper with like a hidden, price on it. It was like, hey, this is $1.8 million. The red flags, they're different for everyone. And my red flags are gonna be different than yours. And it's, a matter of who I jive with. We're gonna head over to the Viewrail booth and we're gonna show you guys these custom built stairs. Something I wasn't aware. I thought these were standard products, but it's completely customizable. We're gonna talk about the products that they have on the floor and how to work with them in the future.
Hey, good.
Good, man. I appreciate you having us.
Thank you, Nick.
We are working on a project with you guys down in Rhode Island. And one of the reasons that we ended up working with you guys is the customization of your product. So I was incorrect, as I usually am, is that in previous shows I'd be here and thinking that you guys had standard products, which you do, and which helps the ability to, with design and getting something in a job in an efficient manner. But what I lacked in knowledge was that you can also customize it.
Sure.
And behind us, what's this called?
We call this our flight system.
Okay. And you said it's a workhorse.
Yeah, this is really our workhorse system. This goes into so many houses. It gets the job done so well. It can go in a million different configurations. This is a straight that we brought here. It can go switchback. It can go U-shaped. It can go 90. It's a wonderful platform for a lot of different tread species to match different houses. We can change the colors, and every one of these is manufactured to the house specifically. Right. So it's not like a bulk made product.
You guys have put the engineering into figuring out how to make them efficient as a product. And I think about, you guys have seen our modern Back Bay project. We built a mono stringer, and we probably overcomplicated it. We definitely overcomplicated it. And thinking back, it's like people have reached out to us like, hey, I'd love to build a stair like that. And we look at the numbers, it's like, well, it costs this much money.
Yeah.
But when you realize that when someone like you guys have engineered this to figure out, like you said, it's a workhorse. It does a lot of things and has a lot of configurations. We could probably have gotten 90%, if not all the way there.
Yeah, I bet you could have, Nick. And so we put a lot of effort. We have all of this in Inventor and a 3D modeling software. So we're able to give you full plan sets, shop drawings. We even have ICC code approval on this.
Okay.
And so if you are in a situation where you need to have plans approved and know that it's going to go right past the inspector, boom, pull out that ICC report and it just sails by.
So what does that mean? What was the process in getting that?
Every fastener, every bolt, every connection.
Really?
Them touring our shop, documenting our processes, quality paperwork, continuing to provide logs, testing.
Sure.
Tremendous amount of work.
What was the reason that you wanted? Like, why go for that? Why spend all that time and money and effort?
Because you as a builder need it, and we know you need it. Because code officials are wanting it. They want to know the reactions. They want to know the calculations. They want to know that people are going to be safe.
Right.
And we have a responsibility. So like the first time you built one, you overbuild it. But if you missed one fastener,
right,
there's a bit of a problem.
Sure.
Every fastener has been documented and tested.
And that's important, and also makes, going back to the efficiency, it makes the opportunity to put something like this, which is more custom than a regular wood frame staircase, especially as modern tends to, get more and more traction here in the US, it gives a really awesome opportunity to have something like this in your home. We're gonna head over to the Westlake, formerly known as Royal Building Products, and they actually made a bunch of acquisitions for new companies, which is great because one of the companies is someone that we use on a regular basis. Ben, we are super familiar with True Exterior. Mm-hmm. We work with Keith over at Duration Molding Millwork. He's a great sponsor to our podcast. We use this product on a regular basis. It's what we prefer to use over, say, a PVC trim for the benefits that this has. But let's talk about the clapboard siding first, because
Sure.
I know it's the most authentic looking clapboard that is not wood, but why don't you walk through it? I'll let you do the talking.
Okay.
You know the product. Give me the spiel on that.
Excellent. So what we've done here is we've created your traditional look. So you don't really get that anymore. So that's a traditional cedar with the 5/8 butt joint here. It gives you that deep shadow line. But the true innovation on this product is what's inside. It's the polyash material. So that poly ash, just giving it the dimensional stability that's unlike anything else, the ability to touch the ground. There's no water moisture wicking up into that. It's right on top of your masonry work. It cuts installs just like wood, actually even better. Because if you're using certain fasteners, you can go right to the edge. You don't have to worry about that board to split.
That was the craziest thing. I saw a demo one day, and he took a nail and he drove it by hand right here.
Right there, right on the edge.
And which is great because, you know, this is great. You don't see any nails, but in a more traditional home, you might see a nail every 16 inches that they were driving that siding into a stud.
Right.
You can pull that off with this.
Yes, absolutely you can. And then much easier for the contractor too. You don't have to seal your end cuts. So on a lot of other boards, you have to take that little extra step to do that. Now you can just
Even
put
with
it
wood.
Right up. Even with wood, you have to.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of advantages
especially with wood.
Yeah.
The direct ground contact is something that, you know, there's always the code that tells you got to keep everything up above ground. But I think it's an important topic to speak about because oftentimes mulch beds get built up and you do end up touching, and the fact that that product won't wick moisture or get damaged over time is great, but even more importantly, it's when you're up on the roof line.
Exactly.
So a lot of times, I remember installing siding on a roof line. You take a one by board, stick it on the roof, and bring your siding down tight.
Yep.
You can run this directly down onto the roof.
Yes. Yep.
Which is great.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about that rotting or it just will last forever. That's what really separates it from the rest of the competition.
The acquisition for Westlake, getting Boral products, now that means duration. My partner over there, Keith, you guys are supplying him with this material, and he's continuing to be able to manufacture this beyond. Well, he's actually the one manufacturing the clap at this point. Is that right?
No, we manufacture this, but he does a lot of different profiles for us. So this is coming back. Yeah.
All right. So this is interesting because a few years ago, Boral had stopped production on clapboard.
Well, we actually had a bevel siding, so it was a little different than this profile.
Okay, you got to walk me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the bevel siding is what you see mostly with the lap siding, where you have a shorter, so it starts off thick, and then it comes down short to maybe a 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
And this is actually going back to the true lap siding that you get with wood.
So this is not bevel.
This is not bevel. This is true lap.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the lap product, and he's doing the bevel.
He's doing the bevel.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's what I was getting at. Is that a few years ago, Boral had stopped making the bevel siding.
Correct.
And we had. I remember the panic I had because we had a job that it was entirely spec'd out on, and I immediately called our vendor, and he had just enough. I was like, just drop it off. We're not even ready for it.
Right.
Just drop it off on the site. And then I was introduced to Keith and duration, and then started seeing the innovation behind what he has turned true exterior trim into, which is completely customizable.
It is.
It's mind-blowing the amount of work they put out. I think they guarantee stuff in 2 days 2 weeks for custom profiles. But for him, what does that mean? What does this acquisition mean for him?
Well, that just means that he's still going to get the same great product that he's got before. A little bit extra partnership, working with a much bigger company. So hopefully we can continue to grow that side of the business. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you got the original lap siding, I'm going to call it.
Yes.
What other siding products do you have?
Okay. So over here, we want to step around the corner.
So you have two here.
Yeah. So this is two different products, but it's actually one together. So we have a
backside, front side.
Backside, front side.
Whatever,
yep.
whatever
So it's reversible.
Yeah.
So you can get the nickel gap look with a wood grain or a smooth, and then on the reverse side have your shiplap with wood grain or smooth.
So I got to ask a question.
Yes.
How many people install it with the wood grain?
With the wood grain, it's not as popular as the smooth.
It's not, and that's
really not.
This is where I battle with it. Not battle with it, but I always question. It's like it's not wood, and I know we're trying to imitate wood. But even when we're imitating wood, typically if I'm painting it, I don't have that grain.
Right.
We're always flipping it to the smooth side.
True.
And I know that there's a use for it. I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just always curious that, when I see people install it, I've never seen wood side out.
It's
the grain
very
side
regionally specific where you would see that wood grain. Other than that,
and
this
in
is the
Boston,
majority.
So,
So in Boston, you're smooth out there. That's
everyone's
it.
smooth.
Yep.
It's like
yes.
Yeah, we don't see the grain. And it's funny. I had recently one of our guys did a small trim job for my Fernandez Builders, and he had the grain side out. And I was like, hey, just a standard for us.
Right.
Smooth side. He's like, all right, no problem, got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's interesting. It's that it's regional. I'm gonna hop on stage by myself and do a solo talk on why video is winning in our market. And just an FYI, we were unable to record the entire solo speech, so we'll get that footage from the NAHB at a later date, and we'll share that with you because it was an epic conversation. and then we're going to head over to Ben Bogey in the build zone, and we're going to talk about communicating high performance details when someone understands the vision. And one example I can give is that for us, when we're building a space or doing a renovation or building a home, we spend a lot of time rendering the project. We make multiple renderings of interior spaces, whether it's a video, exterior renovation, and the exterior elevations. And the reason we do that is so the entire team, when they show up on site, they understand what the end goal is. And then we're going to end it at the Builder Nuggets podcast with Dwayne. I sit down, we talk about everything that's going on in the NS Builders world, and just my general thought on the industry. I think right now the market is definitely in a, people are slightly taking advantage on the financial side, where it's like they can make more money, and so they're jumping ship a little bit faster because there are significant increases. I talked to someone last week, and he lost a guy that's been with them for years and years and years, and he went and got a 70% raise. And he's like, I don't even know how to compete with that. And I'm like, yeah, I've been there. I've never been at 70%, but I've been at 20, 30, 35%, like, on a pretty regular basis. Yeah. And for me, yes, it's about, so going back to like attracting talent and attracting clients, is that that's why it's even more important for us to be transparent and honest in our message.
When I say attracting, I mean attracting the right ones.
Right, yeah. Because if we're like, the biggest mistake I made early when I was hiring is that, we were basically promoting who we were on social media, but when I interviewed those people, they thought that they were gonna come in and just do interior finished carpentry. It's like, but we're not an interior finished carpentry company. There's gonna be days where we're taking out trash or sweeping the floors. And for me, I needed to be more open about that in the early conversations, because otherwise, this kid's gonna join our team, and then he's gonna be like, dude, I don't wanna do, this isn't what I wanna be doing. And it's like, why didn't you tell me that? I thought on social media, it looks like I just do interior finish, because that's all you take photos of. Yeah. And it's like, all right, like that's really valuable feedback for me, where it's like, I need to be transparent. I need to answer like the objections, right? Like you think of a sales process and figure out like, all right, you have to answer objections before they object to what you're proposing, including a job. And some of those objections are the things that they might not want to do. And it's like, listen, yeah, there's going to be times where you might be sweeping the floor or picking up trash, but know that the whole company is that. We're builders. We all wear many hats, and the best thing is that we're going to work together and support each other. And when it's good and we're doing the cool stuff, it's going to be really freaking cool. Yeah. There's not, it can't be that way every day. Yeah. So that is a wrap for the International Builder Show 2022. Saw a bunch of new product. But the best thing is that this show is back in person, and we're able to network like we did 2 years ago. Looking forward to sharing everything that we've seen here and more in our projects, in our upcoming projects, and we'll see you guys next year at the 2023 International Builder Show.